Boost your English.
From English Podcast with John.
Hello everyone. Welcome back to English Podcast with John. Thanks for joining us today. In this episode, we're combining English with daily motivation to help you build a stronger mindset and positive habits. We're here to make your English practice simple, relaxed, and enjoyable. So how are you doing today?
I am feeling really energized for this topic.
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, me too. It's one of those topics that feels so universal. Everyone wants to improve, but the how is always the tricky part.
Exactly. Sometimes just the phrase becoming the best version of yourself feels so huge, so intimidating.
It does. It sounds like you have to climb Mount Everest tomorrow.
Right. But hopefully today we can break it down into something that feels, I don't know, a little more human and achievable.
I think we can.
And before we jump in, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone listening. If you enjoy these conversations, please do consider liking, subscribing, or even sharing this with a friend. It helps us so much.
It really does. So thank you. Okay, so let's start with that big, intimidating phrase, becoming the best version of yourself. When you hear that, does it feel like a destination, a finish line you cross? Or is it more of a constant process?
That is, I think, the most important question to ask right at the start. And for me, it is 100% a journey. It's a process.
Not a destination.
Not at all. I actually have a pretty clear personal story about this.
Oh, yeah.
For years, I was completely convinced that if I just got a certain job title, that would be it. I'd have arrived. I thought, that one thing would magically fix everything, and I'd finally be that best version.
Right. The golden ticket.
Exactly. And, well, I eventually got the job. And the feeling wasn't what I expected.
What was it like?
It was an anticlimax. I was just the same person, but now with more stress and a whole new set of problems to solve. It taught me that the best version isn't a title or an achievement. It's just being a little bit better than you were yesterday.
That's so insightful, because it makes it about today, not some distant future. But that brings up another question for me. There's so much noise out there, social media, ads telling you what you should want. How do you decide what to improve? How do you figure out your own core values and all of that?
That's the real challenge. You have to filter out that external noise. For me, it's about sitting down and really thinking, what matters to me, truly, not to anyone else? Is it kindness? Is it creativity? Is it health? Once you identify those, say, 3 core values, they become your compass. They help you make decisions that align with the person you actually want to be, not the person you think you're supposed to be.
I love that idea of a compass, and it connects so perfectly to learning English, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, the best version of an English learner isn't someone who knows every single word perfectly. It's the person who shows up and practices, even for just 5 minutes. The one who's brave enough to have conversation, mistakes and all.
You're so right. It's about embodying the identity of a learner, not achieving the outcome of perfection.
Exactly. It's the process.
Which I think leads us really nicely into the first big idea, which is all about habits. The power of these tiny, consistent steps.
Yes. The classic New Year's resolution problem.
Exactly. We all do it. We decide on January 1st, we're going to go from 0 to working out 2 hours a day.
And by January 10th, we're back on the couch.
Of course, because it's too much, too soon. Your brain just isn't wired for that kind of massive, sudden change. It's overwhelming.
It's that activation energy, right? The mental effort it takes just to get started.
Precisely. And a 2-hour workout has massive activation energy. Your brain will always choose the path of least resistance. So the trick is to make the new habit so small, so ridiculously easy, that the activation energy is practically 0.
Okay, give me an example from your own life. How small are we talking?
I struggled for years to build a consistent exercise habit.
Yeah.
For years. The thing that finally worked was telling myself I only had to exercise for 7 minutes a day.
7 minutes?
7 minutes. It sounds like nothing, right? It sounds almost silly.
It does, but I get it. Your brain can't really make an excuse to not do 7 minutes.
It can't. And the funny thing is, once I was dressed and moving and those 7 minutes were up, I almost always kept going. Maybe for 10 minutes, maybe 20. The hard part was just starting. The 7-minute rule was just a trick to get me over that initial hurdle.
It's not about the workout itself. It's about building the habit of showing up, the consistency.
Yes, you're reinforcing the identity of a person who exercises every single day. That's the real win.
That makes me think of another concept, habit stacking.
Oh, that's a game changer.
It really is. I use it all the time without even thinking about it now. For example, every single time I boil water for my morning tea, I use that time to quickly wipe down one kitchen counter.
I love that.
It's a tiny thing, but my kitchen is always cleaner.
Right.
And I don't use any willpower because the kettle boiling is already a solid part of my routine.
That's the beauty of it. You're attaching a new habit to an old automatic one. You don't have to decide when to do it. The decision is already made. But what about those days? And we all have them. When you just feel completely unmotivated. Well, even the tiniest habit, like wiping a counter, feels like a monumental effort. How do you push through that resistance?
That's a great question. On those days, my goal shifts. It's not about making progress anymore. It's just about not breaking the chain.
So what do you do?
I lower the bar even further. So my normal habit is cleaning one counter. On a really bad day, my new goal is just to get the cleaning spray out and put it on the counter.
That's it.
That's it. Because usually once the spray is out, I'll give it a quick wipe. The inertia is broken. But even if I don't, I still technically did the first step. I didn't let the habit die completely.
That's so smart. It's about just making contact with the task. I do something similar. If I really don't want to write, my only goal is to open the document and put my hands on the keyboard.
Just the physical act of starting?
Yep. Because starting is always the hardest part. Once you're in motion, momentum helps carry you.
And every time you do it, even that tiny version, your brain gets a little hit of dopamine, a little reward.
Right? It's a small win.
Yeah.
And those small wins build up. They make you feel successful and capable, which makes you want to do it again the next day.
It's a positive cycle instead of the usual all or nothing shame cycle we get into with big resolutions.
100%.
This feels like a really good point to shift to the internal side of things, because you can have all the best habits in the world, but if your self-talk is negative, it's like trying to drive with the emergency brake on.
Absolutely. The internal narrative is everything. You have to learn to be a good friend to yourself.
I had a moment like this just last week, actually.
Oh, yeah?
I was sending an important email, and I realized after I sent it that I made a really dumb mistake, a typo in someone's name.
Ooh, that's the worst feeling.
It is. And my immediate automatic thought was just, brutal, you're so careless, you can't do anything right. Just this spiral of negativity.
That's so common. We take one small mistake and we make it this huge statement about who we are as a person.
Right. So I had to consciously stop myself. I had to literally pause and reframe the thought.
What did you change it to?
I changed it to, that was a mistake that happened because I was rushing. I've learned I need to double check names before hitting send. It turned the mistake from a character flaw into just data, a lesson.
From condemnation to data extraction. I love that.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. If a friend told you they made that same mistake, you would never say, "You're so careless."
Of course not. I'd say, oh, don't worry about it. It happens to everyone.
Exactly. We give our friends so much grace and compassion. We need to learn how to give that same grace to ourselves. We have to stop being our own worst critics.
That's a really powerful way to think about it. But how do you maintain that self-compassion when it's not just a typo, when you're facing a really big challenge or you miss a huge deadline?
Yeah, when the stakes are higher, the negative self-talk gets louder. In those moments, I think it helps to deliberately take what's called a self-compassion break.
What does that involve?
It's 3 steps. First, you just acknowledge the feeling. Wow, this feels awful. You don't fight it. Second, you remind yourself that this is part of being human. Everyone feels this way sometimes. You're not alone in your struggle. And third, you actively offer yourself kindness. You might even put a hand on your heart and ask, what do I need to hear right now? It sounds a bit cheesy, but it calms your nervous system down.
It shifts you from being the attacker to being the comforter.
Exactly. From critic to ally.
I also find visualization really helpful in those high-pressure situations.
Oh, interesting. Like visualizing success.
Sort of, but not just that. I do what's called process visualization. So instead of just imagining myself getting a perfect presentation, I imagine a difficult question coming up. And then I visualize myself staying calm, taking a breath, and giving a thoughtful answer. I mentally rehearse handling the difficult parts.
That's brilliant. You're preparing your mind for the challenge, not just the victory. So when it happens, it doesn't feel so shocking or scary.
Exactly. It takes the fear out of it. And you can apply that to English practice too, right?
For sure.
Instead of just dreaming of speaking fluently, you could visualize yourself getting stuck on a word and then calmly asking, "How do you say?" You practice recovering from the mistake.
That builds so much confidence. It makes you unafraid to try because you know you have a plan for when things don't go perfectly.
Which is, well, it's inevitable, isn't it? Things won't go perfectly.
Never. Setbacks and failures are a guaranteed part of any meaningful journey. Progress is never a straight line.
It's so important to remember that. I read this story about someone who was trying to build a new skill, a really complex one. They spent weeks on a project and then a huge failure. They lost everything they'd built.
Yep.
And they just felt like quitting forever.
Oh, that's a gut punch. That feeling of all your effort being for nothing is just devastating.
It is, but what they realized later was that the failure wasn't the end. It was feedback.
What kind of feedback?
It showed them a huge flaw in their process. The failure wasn't a reflection of their ability, but a lesson in how to build a better system next time. It was expensive data, but it was valuable.
That reframe is everything. Seeing failure as feedback, not as a final verdict on your worth.
So when that happens, when you get that gut punch of disappointment, what's your number one strategy for getting back on the horse the next day?
For me, it's a 3-step cycle. Analyze, reframe, adjust.
Okay, we'll break that down.
First, you have to take a short pause to analyze what actually went wrong.
Hmm.
Don't just react emotionally. Was it lack of planning? Were you tired? Then you reframe it, just like we talked about. It's not I failed, it's the plan failed.
Ah.
And then, and this is the most important part, you adjust the plan. You don't abandon the goal. You just find a smarter way to get there based on what you just learned.
I love that. You're not giving up, you're just getting smarter.
Exactly.
And sometimes I think being resilient just means taking a break.
Yes, it's not always about pushing through.
Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is recognize you're exhausted, step away for a day or two, and come back with fresh eyes.
I couldn't agree more. Resilience is about flexibility, not just brute force. The best version of you is the one who knows when to push and when to rest.
And the one who always chooses to try again. So on that note, let's maybe share one or two really quick, practical tips that people can use, like tomorrow.
Great idea.
I can start. One thing that has made a huge difference for my mindset is keeping a gratitude journal.
I've heard so much about that.
It's so simple. Just 5 minutes every morning before I even look at my phone, I just write down 3 things I'm genuinely grateful for.
And that really works.
It does. It starts the day from a place of positivity and abundance instead of a place of stress or what I have to do. It completely changes the tone for the rest of the day.
I like that. A proactive start. Okay, my quick tip would be to find an accountability partner.
Ooh, like a habit buddy.
Exactly. Not someone who's going to be harsh on you, but just a friend who's also working on a small habit.
So what do you do? Just check in every day.
It can be that simple. A quick text that just says done. Just knowing that someone else is kind of sort of expecting your update makes you so much more likely to actually do the thing, especially on a day when you don't feel like it.
It adds a little bit of positive social pressure.
It does. It makes the journey feel less lonely.
Well, this has been incredibly helpful for me just to talk it all through. It makes this big idea of self-improvement feel so much more practical and, kind.
I agree. It's not about being perfect. It's just about taking small, smart steps day after day and being kind to yourself along the way.
So for everyone listening, we would love to hear from you. How about you leave a comment and tell us one really small habit that you're going to start this week?
I love that idea. Just defining it and sharing it is a powerful first step. And maybe you'll inspire someone else in the community too.
Yes, exactly. So thank you all so much for joining us today and for practicing your English with us.
Every little bit of listening helps. Remember that consistency is what really matters.
We will be back very soon with more conversations to help you practice and stay motivated. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you found this chat useful.
Thank you again, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye for now.
Bye. That was a really good talk.
It really was. Bye.